What's up, everybody? Captain Gino here. We are out here on the beautiful Harris-Shannon Lakes, and today I want to talk to you about summertime brushpile fishing, how to catch some of the biggest bass in your fishery right now on brush piles. You know, a lot of you guys that know me know that I love to fish shell bars a ton, and I love to crank, but as we get later in summer, and also early on in summer, these fish want to get on something hard. They want to get on the brush, and it's one of the first places they stop. And one of the places they get on and stick on later on in the summer. It's really like when you're having fickle fish, it's really easy to target these fish on brush piles when they want to suspend and get all weird. You can throw crankbaits on them and you can throw square bills on them, and it's like you get less spun out as an angler because they're in one place. You know, if you get on a big bar or something like that and they're suspended, they're moving all over the place, it's super frustrating and like a really tough mental game to play and try and target those fish suspended. But when they get on brush piles and suspend, way easier to target. There's 100% a right way and wrong way to target these brush piles, approach these brush piles. I'm going to teach you guys some of my best kept secrets, some of the ways that I like to target these bass on brush piles today. You guys stay tuned because we're going to bust them up. All right, guys, so I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like to scan down the side of a brush pile. I know for me, for the longest time, like I would think I found a brush pile and I'd like put a marker buoy on them or whatever, and like, why does this brush pile keep moving, dude? Like, it won't stay still. I'm like, oh, it's bait. Like, it takes a long time to like get to know what brush piles look like. They're a lot harder to see when they're on shell because you're getting a hard return on top of a hard return. If they're on soft bottom, they're really easy to see. But I'm gonna go by, I'm gonna show them to you guys on my side scan. I'm gonna show them to you on my down scan. And I'm gonna show you the piles that I look to target. Oh my God, there's fish all over that pile. I'm gonna show you the piles that I like to target, why I stop on them, and why I fish them. All right, guys, we're about to scan down the side of this brush pile. I'm gonna show it to you what it looks like. And it's on shell too, by the way. This is like super gnarly shell. But we're gonna scan down this pile. I'm gonna hit it on my side scan so you can see what it looks like on the side scan. Then I'm gonna come down over top of it with the 2D and down scan so you can kind of get a look at what that looks like. This particular brush pile we just passed by, there was a ton of fish on the outside edge, and there's some bluegill spawning. That happens oftentimes around these brush piles. They will harbor panfish year round. It's a great place for those panfish to hang out, and bluegills, and they spawn around them as well, and it's a great place for those bass to hang out, rest up, get fat. Their food's there, their cover's there. It's just an awesome place. Now we're coming up on it, and you can see there's bait all over this, and there's bass all around it. Look at all those bass. Bass, 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 bass. And there's some panfish beds. Those are most likely warmouth bass and shell crackers because the way they're kind of scattered out. They're not real organized, but look at all those fish, guys. Like that, you see that? Go fish, dude. Let's come around and we'll get it on the down scan so you can have a look at that. And I can tell you, like, if you see like the littlest stick up, you're like, oh, that's just like a little stick up. Like, go over it from different angles, because if it's on hard bottom, it's gonna be really hard to decipher. If it's on an incline or decline, it's gonna be hard to see the whole pile. You can see all my squiggly lines on my map going over top of this brush pile over and over and over again. And that's because I need to see it from all different angles. It's not generally a great idea to like graph over a shallow brush pile. This particular brush pile is in 7 foot of water. Because it will spook the fish, but 10 foot or more, guys, feel free to like zip over them from every different direction. Generally speaking, it's not going to bother these fish whatsoever. So now we're coming over on the Dow scan. Oh, look at those. Now it looks like, oh, it's just the smallest little brush pile. Well, we missed a bigger brush over here. You can see that, but you can see the fish sitting on my 2D on the back side of that brush pile. So that is what a brush pile looks like. Another little trick to not get stuck in the brush all the time. I know, like on shell and stuff like that, it's nice to grab. There's a fish. Oh, here's another one. Just to go up and down with it. Oh no. Oh, Megan. In the boat, son. Oh, Big Nasty came to get her some of that. Big girls love that worm. Have one of them jobs. Captain, help me, Captain. A little trick, guys. When they choke it like that, just pull it through the bottom gill, like so. Just put your finger in the bend of the hook. Just never felt the thing. That's what them brush pile fish will get you. Ooh, she's got cataracts. Like, we got crankbaits. Get a crankbait, Billy.
I was like reeling in aggressively.
There it is. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Thanks for the clue, Jason. Spunky! Oh, there's two of them. Double. Oh no, dude! Jason knocked one of my doubles off. I had a twofer, dude. Wow. No, I've never caught a double on camera. Jason ruined it. I had two of them, dude. Oh no. Broski's, the double up. I had two, bro. You didn't see it, but it was there.
Where's the thumpers at? Down here.
Big on a beef pie, dude. Oh, big nasty. Oh, that's a big one. Big nasty, come on, you big heifer. Come on up in here. Oh no, oh no. Dude, my net man is so fired today. These grappling hooks are mean, dude. Oh. This is why you listen to the fish. Like, he was just reeling in a ribbon tail. And he's like, dude, I was just reeling it in and got smoked and caught one. And I was like, okay, well, that means they want a crankbait. Let's throw that crankbait at them. Look at that meat pie. That's what summertime brush pile fishing will get you guys. Like straight bigs, dude. Look at that beautiful fish. Just a meat pie. Mwah. All right, guys, so it's late summer. We're out here fishing some brush piles, and typically speaking, guys think of like really big worms during the summertime, and those big worms are great like early on in the summer. You can get away with throwing like the old monsters, the big 10.5-inch ribbon tails, giant vibe tails, big thick trick worms. But these fish are, once they're out here for so long, they see that worm over and over and over again. They're constantly getting hooked by it, and it really becomes problematic. You're gonna get a lot less bites. It's really important to like size down your worm. CPF offers a trick worm that's 8 inches long, but it's got a very small diameter. So you can still get that big presentation without all the bulk, and you're gonna get a lot more bites, catch a lot bigger fish later in the summer. It's important that we make those adjustments. Guys think that like, oh, they're offshore, we just do the same thing every day, all the time, and you're gonna end up falling short like that. You really need to make adjustments to these fish when it's later in the summer and kind of size down your worm a little bit. You don't have to get crazy, but just scale it down just a little bit. You'll get a lot more bites.
Why set up like, so the current's coming towards us. Why set up
the current
here versus like width on the side of it? What would be the difference with that?
So the fish would see your bait for a less amount of time.
Okay.
It's imperative, guys, that you take into consideration where the sun is, where the wind is, where these fish are gonna be. You need to visualize in your head, okay, this is gonna be the shady side. If you look at my hand, it's shady right here. The bass are gonna wanna be sitting in the shade. They're ambush predators. They wanna expend the least amount of energy. So there's a current coming across the entire lake. They're faced into the current and they're on the shady side. So as that bait starts to come around that brush, they can just boom, boom, boom. And that's where you wanna be like very specific and where you position your boat to get the most amount of bites. I promise you, I can watch guys, so many guys come behind me and fish a brush pile. Not just me, I'm not saying I'm like the best, right? But just what I've learned over the years. And they just won't get the bites. They won't get the bites. They'll be on the wrong side of the brush pile. They'll work too fast through the brush pile. They won't make multiple presentations from different angles. And they won't even think about where these fish are gonna be positioned. You really need to think about like, okay, what's the bass here for? Where's he gonna sit? You know, where do I need to present my lure? And I promise you, if you take these things in consideration, you're gonna get more bites on your fishery like right now. You can go and apply it immediately and catch more fish and bigger fish on your lake. These guys literally, we're watching guys fish brush piles like side by side, and they've been dropping their marker buoy, going past the brush pile and throwing with the current and throwing with the wind. And they're presenting it to the wrong side of the pile. We're sacking them up. We're catching a pile of fish. These guys are not catching any fish at all. And they just sat down. They said, all right, we're just gonna stop and watch these guys. And they've literally changed the angle of where they're presenting their baits. Let's see if they get bit.
They even still that I've always seen them going against the current or.
I promise you guys, most bait fish are not gonna try and sneak up on a bass, right? So if your bait is sneaking up and coming behind them and hitting them in their tail, number one, they're not seeing it. Maybe you get them to react. Maybe they get pissed and spin and bite it. But why make a cast and have your bait in front of the fish less? And why sneak up on a predator? Let the predator be a predator. Use that to your advantage. You know this is a predator fish. Think like a predator, where he's gonna be, where he's gonna set up, where he's gonna spend the least amount of energy to gain the most calories. Because that's what's happening. Now guys, it is imperative that when you're setting up on these brush piles that you have your electronics set up right. And what I mean by that is some sort of casting rings or range rings, a heading extension. You have your networks, your units networked, and then you can line up on them. And I generally like to stay about 75 feet away from my brush piles. If they're like 10 foot or less, 75 feet's ideal. Do keep in mind that your distance less your depth is going to be your actual distance, because you're talking about the distance from your boat to the bottom of that brush pile. So that's important to kind of keep in mind. When you get on those deeper piles, you can get a little bit closer, but I still like to stay back off, because you got your ping from your sonar going on down there, and the sound of your trolling motor going on, and these Ultrexes, or these GPS driven trolling motors, they're constantly turning on, off. And I promise you that will affect your school. Like, we were on a school of fish a little earlier today on a brush pile, and like we watched the whole school just like had to get kind of close and get a bait out. The whole fish is just suspended 60 feet from the brush pile. They were over it. So boat position is imperative. Be sure you keep in mind where the sun's positioned, where the wind's positioned, where these predator fish are going to be set up on these brush piles. It's going to help you to catch more fish. Now, you're like, gee, I don't have a 0.1 antenna. I don't have heading extensions. I don't have my units networked. No big deal. You found a brush pile, go to Walmart, go online, Tackle Warehouse, go somewhere and pick you up some marker buoys. Have you idle over, don't drop directly on the brush pile, because your fish are gonna get tangled in it, your lines are gonna get tangled in it, it's gonna be a heartache, right? So mark yourself on the shoreline, somewhere on the lake, and say, okay, I'm gonna cruise down at this angle, and the brush pile is here, directly into my boat, I'm gonna throw to the right. So when you reposition, you know your marker buoy is to the right of the brush pile. Don't just go over and aimlessly throw it out there. You're looking at your graph and you come back and spin around and you're like, crap, which side is the brush pile on? These are mistakes that, I don't mean to sound like cocky or whatever, these are mistakes that I've made in the past. Mistakes, I'm so in the zone, and I didn't have my graph set up the way I have it set up now, and like, I'm focused on my graph, I'm looking at the graph, and I throw a marker buoy out, and I'm like, crap, which side's it on? Now it's taking me 30 minutes to figure out where that brush pile is. I'm casting around, I'm super frustrated, and I don't realize that the marker buoy is in between me and the brush pile, and now the brush pile is 100 feet away, and I had no clue, and it's just a humongous waste of time. It can be super frustrating. It can actually deter you from setting up on these brush piles the way you need to set up. I have my system dialed in to where when I pull up on a brush pile, it's first cast every time. I'm like, bam, 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 bam. This is gonna allow me to be more efficient, make more casts presented to the areas that matter to these fish, and allow you to catch more fish. So, all right, everybody, that's a wrap. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. I made this video for you guys. You guys asked me to make a brush pile video, so I went ahead and made it. If there's anything you'd like to see, if you have any questions, please leave so down in the comment section. I really appreciate the open communication amongst us. It helps us all grow as anglers. Your continued support is much appreciated. If you'd like to book a guide trip, please visit GinoLosi.com. That's GINOLOSI.com. Again, that's GinoLosi.com. If you have not, and you're into this type of content, if you have not yet subscribed, please like and subscribe. It really helps this channel. That's the best thing you can do to support me and to support the channel, to allow me to make better content and more videos for you guys on a regular basis. Please like and subscribe. It's huge, it's free, it's convenient, super easy to do. Until next time, everybody, tight lines.